4x7-ish. I don't know exactly, and I don't have my tape measure, but it's just an old scrap piece of wood, and I have dry brushed a little bit of white paint right onto the surface and let it soak right in and dry. Okay, so we did crosses on these boards at Christmas time. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. I traced out, or I sketched out a cute little tulip, and I'm gonna take a second to trace it with a marker so that we can see it better. I do like to kind of sketch a little before I get going, but I am going to do this as well, just so that I can send it to my members after the live is over. So if you're a member of the Shattered Circle, you always get these little tracers. So I'm going to draw these leaves in. And let's see. Oh, I'm doing it backwards, y'all. I don't guess it matters. I'll still be able to see it. I'm like, that's not how I drew that leaf. And we'll do that. And so I'm just making it darker so I can trace it onto my substrate without a problem, because I just used a watercolor pencil. But before we do that, we're gonna add a little something to this background, okay? So we're gonna do a cute little tulip, but we're gonna add some color to the background, not just the white, all right? So we're gonna do that. And I'm gonna start with my green, which is How's Your Green Light? So we're gonna put a little bit of this green on our plate, and also I think this is avocado, just a light green and a dark green. Doesn't have to be these exact colors, just a light and a dark. All right, and I'm gonna take a brush, a dry brush. I don't want a brush that is nice and wet, because I kind of want this to be I don't want it to be painted. I want it to have more of a dry brush effect. I might even use a chip brush. Let me try that first. I'm gonna go in to my lighter green, and I am just gonna hit the back side of my bristles. Okay, there's that. I'm just gonna load some paint on one side of my brush, kind of like that. So you don't want a gob of paint, you just want a little bit on one side. We're not gonna do this. What I'm gonna do is start at the very bottom, and I'm gonna pull straight up. And I think I'm gonna need more paint than that. So let's try that again. Might have to add some more. All right, so I'm just gonna pull straight up about 2/3 or 3/4 up from the bottom. Oh, that's sweet, Martha. So we're gonna just pull that right up from the bottom almost to the top. We'll add some very streaky, so you can see it's just little streaks of green. I'm gonna add a little bit more of that green. Then we'll add a little bit of the darker green on top. So you're dry brushing, you're not painting like this. You're not painting like this. You're just putting color on one side of your paintbrush, and that's the side that you are applying to your substrate, all right? Now, so we got it about 3/4 of the way up. I'm gonna switch my paintbrush to the other side. I'm not gonna intermix the dark into the light. I'm gonna use the other side of my paintbrush. Now I'm gonna go into that dark, and I'm gonna load that dark onto my paintbrush. My nails are a disaster, honey. You just can't see them close up. They're really bad. And I'll tell you the story too. Okay, I'm gonna use the darker green and just come right over the top with the darker green, so I have a little bit of dark and a little bit of light and a very abstract looking, we'll hit it one more time, very abstract looking, kind of grassy look. Okay, start from the bottom and bring it up. All right. Now, I'm done with this. I'm gonna stick it in the water. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm trying to figure out how to do this. so I have this brush. It should be a flat, and I don't know if you can see how crusty and yucky this is. Bianca, look at this hand. These 3 nails I broke today, putting the wall up behind me. So yeah, I have these long, precious nails over here, and these are my nails. They are not dip or anything else. I did dip for about 1.5 years, and it ruined my nails, so I took all that off, and I've been letting my nails grow. It's taken about 8 months to get my nails back, but I literally broke all 3 of these today. But anyway. Okay, so this is an old crusty flat brush, so much so that the bristles almost look round. Okay, so it's kind of a flat tip, and it kind of has a rounded look to it because I've just ruined it, and so it's not flat and beautiful. So I like to save these kind of brushes because they can be quite useful, right? So what I'm gonna do now is I have straw, and I'm gonna add a little bit of that to my plates. And I also have a little bit of crocus yellow. We're gonna add that to our plates. And we are going to, hopefully this will turn out. This is just something in my head, y'all. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but we're gonna go with it. So I'm gonna take my field of green, and ruined my nails too. I'm gonna start with the dark, and I'm just gonna dip the tips, so just the tip of that brush into my paint. I'm gonna offload a little so it's not blobby, and I'm just gonna start adding little dots. I'm gonna keep it about from the halfway point up, and I am just going to add. You don't want a gob of paint. You want this to be very abstract. So kind of, can you see the yellow? Can you see the bits of yellow that I put it in? It kind of looks like you can't see it from far away, but there it is. Just a little bit of yellow. We're gonna use that darker yellow first and just kind of dab it all in. Don't worry too much about the middle because our other tulip is gonna be there, but you can bring them up. Let's go up here, bring it up a little. Now I'm gonna go into the lighter color. I'm gonna offload some of this darker yellow. I'm gonna go into the lights and do the same thing. Let's get some of that off. We don't want a gob of that on. And let's just kind of fill in with the lighter. And I'll give you a close-up of this when I'm done so you can kind of see, because it's probably hard to see because it's very light, very minimal. Just a faux field of tulips behind our big main tulip. That's kind of what we're going for. I'm gonna get a few more of the darker. So I'm just tapping the color on very lightly. And you don't want it to be like dot, dot, dot straight up on top of each other. And you don't want them to be all like perfectly aligned. So just kind of close your eyes and make dots. All right, let me show you this close up. I'm gonna wait for the camera to catch up so I can make sure you can see what I've done. So can you see all that? So that is our far, far away field of tulips that we have in our background. So now I'm gonna hit this real quick with my dark, just so I can make sure it's good and dry. Hey Kathy, hey Tammy. All right, that should do it. That should do it. Now I'm gonna grab my stylus. I think I am. I don't know why I keep losing all my things. So now I'm gonna grab my stylus my graphite paper, and we are going to transfer our tulip onto our art piece, onto our substrate. And I'm going to get a little piece of tape and just tape it down at the bottom so it doesn't wiggle around. I'm just going to add a tiny bit of tape right there to the bottom. And then we'll slide this right up under. Smooth that back out. And I'm going to use my stylus that I lost. I'm going to use my stylus and I'm going to trace my tulip right onto my canvas. All right, so we'll do that. Do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. We'll get our leaf. We'll do this leaf. I don't know if I do that every time. And we got this one that's kind of turned over on itself. And I think we have all this. So the key to making sure it's all transferred and not making a mistake, slide out your graphite, pull it up. I can see all the things, yes. So everything's transferred nicely. So I'm gonna pull that off. And we will stick it over here. And we shall stick this over here, and we're gonna get to painting. So we're gonna use all our same colors, guys. I used all my greens, so I'm gonna add a little bit more of the light green and dark green to my plate for our leaves. And obviously, I'm gonna add a little bit of whites. So we have 2 greens, a light and a dark. We have 2 yellows, a light and a dark. And we have whites. So let's grab, what kind of brush do I want? I'm gonna grab a big old fat round brush. Okay, this is a number 10 Rocket Round. So it's really great for leaves and flowers. And so I've wet this, gotten all the excess moisture out of it, and let's get this party started. We're gonna start with our tulip. And I'm gonna start with the lightest yellow. And I'm gonna go ahead and just get that center done. And then we'll get this outer. I even kind of like, I wanna show you something. I even kind of like, see how on this petal, it's kind of looks distressed. I kind of am digging that look, so I may not, like, I may leave that or encourage that distressy look, but we're gonna do a couple of layers, so it may cover that up, but I'm gonna try not to, I'm gonna try to leave it a little distressy. That's my new word today, distressy. All right, we're gonna get that yellow on. We're just gonna do our base coats. So we're just gonna do that first quick coat of color on everything, and then we will do the detail stuff. So let me rinse that yellow off a little, and we're gonna go into our light green, and I'm gonna go ahead and just paint my leaves. So I'm gonna do this one here because it kind of gets squished to the background. So we'll paint this one. And we'll paint the little part that hits your flower, the stem. Will come down. We have kind of three leaves, so we're going to hit this one next. And I'm just painting it out with the lighter green, and then we'll do the fancy stuff in a minute. So lighter green, and it's showing a little distress there as well, which I'm digging big time. And all right, so we have one coat of green, a distressed version on our tulip. So that's how it starts, kind of coloring booky, but we're gonna make it pop right now. I'm gonna rinse my brush because we're gonna go back to the yellow. And I'm gonna get in that original yellow again, which is the crocus. Is that right? Crocus? Yes, crocus. Yeah. And I'm gonna start in the center, okay? We're just gonna do another quick bit of that crocus on that center petal. And while that paint's still wet, I'm just gonna dab in to the straw, which is the darker yellow. And we're gonna hit the right side with that darker yellow. Then I'm gonna go right into the white, kind of brush it into your bristles a little, and we're gonna go on this side and hit that left side of that petal with that white, all right? So our goal is to kind of make this pop, all right? So now we're going to do this petal. We're gonna start with our original yellow. Just cover it 100% because you wanna work wet on wet. The blending just works better if you work with wet paint, all right? So still got this yellow. I'm just gonna wipe it off on my napkin. I'm not gonna rinse. I'm gonna go into the straw color and we're gonna hit that right side again. So I'm just make some strokes on the right side. Again, I'm gonna just brush that off. Still have it on my brush. Go into the white, blend it into your bristles a little. And then you're gonna come on this side with the whites in your brush and do that side. I think I need a little more. There we go. And then we're gonna do this one. So we're just doing one petal at a time. Thank you, Sylvia and Susan. One petal at a time so that we can do the shading and keep our paint wet. So let's do this side. This board is like wonky. So we'll get that second coat of paint right on, and this petal overlaps the left petal. So we're just gonna bring that over. All covered again. I'm gonna offload, grab up some of the darker yellow. We're gonna hit the right side with that darker yellow and just kind of blend it through. Offload, grab some white, put it into your bristles really good. So you don't really want to hit it with white, you just want to have a lighter yellow color, all right? Then we'll hit that one more time. All right, so that's our tulip. We're gonna let that dry while we work on our leaves. Hey, Marty, how are you, boo? Okay, so we're gonna kind of use the same process on our stem and leaves, okay? So we have two colors of green, a light green and a dark green. So we're gonna use the original light green as our base. We're gonna re-wet that area, second coat it. We're gonna use the dark green as our shadow and the white mixed into our dirty brush as our highlight. So we're gonna get that green back on our brush. And I'm just gonna do this little bit of stem first. I like to do a section at a time, and I think it's easier for you guys to learn that way too. So we're gonna offload. We're gonna come in with that darker green, just get a little bit of that on your brush. And I am going to come across the top and the right side of my stem, and maybe just a little bit of that V. Offload, grab a little bit of white. You're gonna smush that into your bristles so you don't end up with white, but just a kind of a light green. And you're gonna hit the opposite side with that light green to give that little three-dimension quality, okay? Look good, thank you, Jill. All right, I'm gonna rinse. I don't know why I rinsed, I shouldn't have. I like using a dirty brush. So now we're gonna start on this leaf. So we're gonna, again, just really quickly, because you want, I know I say this a lot, but I can't stress it enough, you want to work wet on wet. So you don't want to paint so slowly that your paint dries while you're trying to highlight, all right? I'm gonna offload, I'm gonna grab up some of that green. I'm gonna be very generous getting that green on my brush right there, because I'm gonna hit the top side of this leaf pretty good. So I'm gonna press down a little all the way to my next leaf and add a pretty good coat of that green. Yep. I'm gonna offload. I'm gonna grab up some of the white on my brush. I'm gonna mix it into my brush really well to create a lighter green. And I'm gonna come right along, gotta turn my brush right along the edge of that dark green and add that lighter green that we created with the white, all right? So I'm gonna get a little more of that, and I'm gonna hit just the very center of my green section. So this is what it looks like so far, but because this leaf overlaps this one, I do wanna create a little shadow there. So I'm gonna grab up a little bit more of that dark green, and I'm just gonna make a little shadow right there where this leaf is trying to touch it. We'll bring that up and kind of blend it into our green. So there is leaf number 1. Super fun. Hey, thank you, Sue. All right, so let's do this leaf now, the one on the left, because similar to the other one, it's behind this center leaf. So we want to work on that one. And I'm going to get my light green, and we'll just paint the whole leaf with the light green. And then we'll do the fun stuff. Paint the whole thing. All right. Now, what we're gonna do is, this leaf is kind of bent. So I'm gonna take my white on my brush, blend it in, and right here, you can still kind of see that line. Right here, I am going to add that version of green that I created with my white, right? So that's where your leaf is kind of bent. So we'll add that there. Then I'm gonna offload a little bit of that white. I'm gonna grab up the darker green onto my brush. And where it's bent here, we're gonna create a shadow, all right? So you're gonna start on the bottom of that, and you're gonna come around that curve and bring it over, kind of blend it out a little, bring it over and around to the tip, and then just kind of blend it out with your brush. And then I'm gonna get just a teeny bit of white, and I'm gonna hit this one side right here, just with a smidge. All right, so that is our left leaf. Super cute and fun. Thank you, Deanna. Well, this leaf is cupped, so I don't really, this leaf is cupped, so that is why there's a shadow there. But, you know, even if it wasn't, I'm not trying to be a real life, like perfect I'm not doing a still life, so I try not to worry too much about those hairy details. All right, so we'll cover this leaf with the last of our green. And I'm gonna offload some of that. I'm gonna get some of the dark first, load it up really nice. And on the left side, I am going to hit with my dark, and I'm gonna just blend it into that wet paint. I'm gonna offload, get a little white, blend it in, because I don't want it to be white. And we're gonna come on the opposite side. Oops, stuck my hand right in that. And that was a little white, but we can fix it. Just go over it and add whatever. To your cute little tulip, all right? So that's it really for this. We're gonna do some fun stuff next though. So the shading makes a huge difference. Now this is not perfect because it is on a really rough hewn piece of wood. And so I'm not trying to make it perfect, but we're gonna get this dry. We're gonna add some more fun details to it. I'm having a hot flash, y'all. About to lose my mind up in here. Oh, I don't want to turn this heat on, but I'm going to. All right, I think that's dry. And it's warm, so we're gonna give it a second. And then what we're gonna do is take our pen, we're gonna add some really fun little details with our highlight, or with our detail pen. Let's see if I can find a good one. That's not a great one. I went ahead and signed it with that so that it wouldn't just have scribbles on the back. I do need a neck fan, chest fan, a hiney fan. I just stay hot. All right, so with this little pen, this is what I use to do really fine detail. And I use this because for several reasons. One, I just like the way it looks, and it gives you, it's a little easier to get a nice detail with this pen rather than trying to use a paintbrush. And I'm 60, got a little arthritis, my hands are a little shaky, so this helps with those details without me having to worry about, you know, making things perfect. So I'm just gonna use my pen and very lightly, short strokes, outline my cute little tulip. We'll come around there. And I like short strokes, and I don't try to stay in the lines, all right? So we're doing short, and we'll do that. And then I'll show you what this looks like. These little bits, that little 2-second detail with this pen makes all the difference in the world. Look at this. I'm gonna turn it that way a little so you can see. See the flower now really pops, and you can really see the difference in the petals. I'm gonna hold it here for a second because if I wiggle it too much, my camera is trying to focus, and then it's kind of crazy. So then you can see our leaves. Woohoo! Super cute. And our field of tulips in the background. Thank you, Georgia. Thank you, Catherine, for posting that. Okay, so now we're going to add some fun to our piece, okay? I brought a couple of different things so y'all can help me try to figure out exactly what we're gonna use. So I'm gonna show you what I brought. Obviously, green glass to put down here at the bottom for a little base for our flower. And I went through my little clear glass bucket and found some little bits of petal, things that I can use for petal that we could add to our tulip here, just to give it a little extra something, something. And thank you, Georgia. And I was wondering if maybe once we get the resin on, maybe we should sprinkle some of these seed beads. These are sun yellow. We could sprinkle them around where our other tulips are, far, far, far away. And we also have a couple of colors of green seed beads that we could add to the bottom, all inside our glass. See? What do you think? What do you think? Should we use all of the things? All the things or no? Oh, I forgot we had gloves in that kit too. They obviously were hiding from me. So I'm definitely going to use these glass bits. They don't fit perfectly and I don't even mind. I did try when I drew on my tracer, I did try to kind of match the size of my tulip. All the things Brenda said. I did try to match the size to my glass, but I didn't try to match the petals exactly. Marty says all the things too, so let's just get started. Okay, we are gonna add these little baby things at the end, but for now we're gonna put our 3 little glass pieces. Let me show that to you close up. So it's just 3, thank you Jennifer, 3 little petals that I cut out of a vase. I always am looking for like clearance vases, or if you get flowers in a vase, stuff like that. Save those. You can cut yourself some little flower petals out of those. But for now, I'm gonna use this green glass. I actually sell this glass on my website. It is called Green Classic. And I have like 25 different colors. If you're new here, you can get all the good glass things on my website. So I'm gonna add just a bit of glass to getting some really fine broken nugget bits that I particularly want. So we'll add that little bit of glass at the bottom so that our flower is not just floating in the air. So this kind of grounds it. And I'm gonna dump that before I cut myself. I have a piece of glass in the tip of my finger that's been in there for probably 3 weeks, and it's trying now to work itself out, and it does not feel wonderful. Does not feel wonderful. Okay, so we got a little green glass on the bottom to help ground our flower, and we have, yes, all your jars, all your vases, all the things. We have our 3 little petals here that simulate our flower petals. So we're gonna go ahead and mix resin. Here's why. If you're new here, these are tiny little, teeny little beads. And if I add them now, they're gonna bounce all over the place. And when I pour the resin, it's gonna float everywhere and you're not gonna be able to contain them. So we're gonna add our resin first. Thank you, Cheryl. And then we're gonna sprinkle these where we want them. That way we have a little more control over that. Now I am gonna raise my piece off of my desk. So it's, so it's elevated, and we're gonna go ahead and get started. I'm gonna literally make, a 1/2 ounce of resin. I think that's perfect enough. I was trying to say the perfectly amount. Obviously I can't talk. So I'm gonna do a 1/4 ounce, I'm second guessing myself. I'm gonna do a 1/4 ounce of resin. Marking that at the 1/4 ounce line. And a 1/4 ounce of hardener. Gotta find it, you can't hardly see it. So 1/4 ounce of resin, 1/4 ounce of hardener. I could probably do that in 1 cup, but we're gonna do it separately because I like to encourage people who are new. Thank you, Elaine, for the stars, and thank you, Catherine, for timing. My new table is actually a glass table I've had forever, but what I did was I got some, absolutely, Ellen, you can watch the replay at your convenience. It's that wallpaper that you can buy at Hobby Lobby. It's just a small roll of wallpaper, and I stuck it under the glass. Isn't that cool? That way I can change it out for whatever I want. I can write on it, and on my table, if I spill resin or paint, I can just scrape it up with a scraper. All right, so let's get some gloves. Let's see here. Try not to destroy anything. We made great headway in the studio today. Things have been so chaotic here, and we haven't really had time to do anything because of we've been building kits and doing kits for the Sunflower Challenge that is next week. So we've kind of let things slide, and we just made huge headway today getting things organized. We still have a lot of work to do, but we are going to get there. I feel confident that we're gonna get there. All right, so I have 2 little cups. I am going to put my hardener in 1 cup, 1/4 ounce. You're welcome, Georgia. Told y'all I was gonna do it. 1/4 ounce. Now this fills up your cup fast. So just once it gets really close to your line, you want to stop pouring because it's like molasses. It's just gonna get fuller and fuller and fuller. And then you'll have more than you want. So we're gonna let that go. Now we're gonna pour our resin. So it's 2 parts, 1 part resin, 1 part hardener, and it's an equal part. And I think I was saying this a minute ago and interrupted my own self, but I like when I'm doing these lives to pour in 2 cups because as a beginner, you need to start with 2 cups, doing 2 cup pours. So you pour resin in 1, hardener in the other, and then you're gonna pour it in another cup, or if you have space, pour it into the same cup and mix that way. That way you know that your measurement is correct. Yes. Brenda got her kit in the mail, yay! So I'm gonna, because we have plenty of space, this is a 1 ounce cup, and so we're only gonna end up with a 1/2 ounce. We have plenty of mixing space. So I'm just gonna dump one into the other. Oh, something's getting me. Do y'all ever have just random pains? Like you're just sitting there and it feels like something's pinching me on my side. I'm just sitting here minding my own business, and suddenly it felt like somebody was pinching me on my side in my little fat pockets. My little fatty love handles. All right, so hang on, I'm gonna throw that away. And so we are going to mix. So we have the hardener and the resin both in this 1 little baby cup, and we are going to mix this for 3 minutes. Oh, Kathy, yes, I understand. We're gonna mix this very slowly and gently for 3 minutes. You don't wanna beat it to death. You don't wanna whip it really fast. You are going to, you do, Gwen? What is that? What is that about? So we're gonna do this for 3 minutes, and Miss Catherine is going to time me and let me know when our 3 minutes is up so that I can chit chat with y'all. So if you have a question about what we're doing, whether it's about the art resin, whether it's about our membership, whether it's about the challenge that we're doing next week, I'm here for you. You have 3 minutes of my undivided attention. And I will do my very best to answer any questions that you have. So, and until I get a question, I'm going to shamelessly plug my Sunflower Challenge again. I'm going to put this right here so that you can see how beautiful it is. And I'm going to stir this because next week I'm going to be doing this with several hundred people. Thank you, Denise. Thank you, Rebecca. We're going to be doing this with several hundred people. I'm going to hold their hands. We're going to walk through this step by step next week. Teresa said, somehow have more hardener left. Oh girl, that is typical. And here's why. Even when you measure perfectly, because the resin is denser than the hardener, it does seem like there's more. So that is typical. Don't stress about that. As long as your projects are coming out, I wouldn't worry about that at all, okay? You can still get in the Sunflower Challenge. I did post the link a few minutes ago, and I will post it again when this live is done. We are having a Sunflower Challenge, and it starts on Monday. This is the piece that we're doing, this cute little blue and sunflower piece with the bumblebee. We are doing that starting next week, and we do still have kits. The Sunflower Challenge, it costs $10 to register. That pays for your admission into the workshop, okay? With that registration, you get, thank you, Jean. With that $10 registration, you get forever access to the videos on how to create this cute little art piece. You also get 2 extra videos on how to break glass and how to tint glass. You get a full supply list, and you get a tracer. So you don't have to draw this piece yourself. You get a tracer, and we're gonna walk you through step by step how to transfer your tracer to your canvas, how to paint your background, how to paint your flowers, how to do the shading, the cute little bumblebee, all the things, and the resin and the glass on the sunflower heads. So the challenge is still open. We won't close the door until Monday. And so you still can access the challenge. And once you pay your $10 registration fee, you're immediately going to get an email from us that tells you how to join the Facebook page. It's going to have the downloadable tracer link, a supply list, and also a link. Thank you, Catherine. It's also going to have a link to purchase a kit. An optional kit is $37.95, and it includes everything you need for the sunflower that we're gonna do except paint, okay? So all you have to do is go out and get your own paint. Now I'm gonna move these little bits just for a minute so that I can get some resin on the underneath of those glass bits. I'm gonna do something kind of different. I do this on some pieces, especially when they're dimensional, but I am gonna just spread some resin right on my tulip area, all right? Then I'm gonna take my little glass bits. I'm gonna start with the center. I'm gonna take my little glass bits, and I'm gonna make sure there is a little bit of resin. Just butter in it. Butter your little piece of glass. And we're gonna make sure there's a little bit of resin on all the pieces. So we'll take this one, we'll just dab resin onto the glass, top and bottom. That way, it's kind of like an insurance policy. You know it's going to stick, okay? So we'll dab a little bit here. These are really dimensional, curvy, and I'll show you when we're done how far up they stick. But we're gonna now we're gonna just stick those back in, and we'll finish doing the resin on the rest of our art piece. So I'm gonna turn that way a little, and I'm gonna add the resin down here at the bottom on my crushed glass bits. So yeah, if you have not joined the Sunflower Challenge yet, I will post a link. When this live is over, just give me 2 seconds, and I will post a link. There's 100 of them on my Facebook page somewhere, but I don't want you to have to go looking for it. I will post a link. And you can also text me at my text number. Catherine, will you post my text number? It's 901-519-2923, and if you text me the word sunflower, I will text you the link to the challenge. And don't forget to expect that email immediately. It's automated, We're not sending them. It's an automated process. So it is there, and it a lot of times will go to your junk folder. So if you've registered and you don't see that email pop up within less than a minute, check your junk folder because it's hiding in there, and the subject line is going to be Spring Sunflower Welcome. Spring Sunflower Welcome. That's what you need to look for if you don't see it right away. All right, so I've got all that glass at the bottom covered. So now I'm just going to drizzle the rest around the rest of my wood piece, my art piece. Dump it all on. We'll get rid of that. And I'm going to use my gloved hand to swirl and cover this entire board with the resin. I'm going to cover it all. Now, because this is wood, you need to keep in mind that when you do a wood piece, unless you seal it really well with paint and or sealer, it is not going to have a perfectly clear, perfect layer of resin. The wood does soak up the resin a little bit. I actually dig that look because it kind of adds to the distress. So you're going to have little skippies in your resin where the wood is soaking up some of that resin in areas. Especially these areas like up here where I don't have any stain or paint. The wood is going to soak that resin up. It's going to darken it a little bit, and it's going to create kind of a distressy resin effect. Do not stress it. It's supposed to look that way. And if you want a perfectly smooth resin finish, you are barking up the wrong tree. Never gonna happen. In the years, all the years, 12 years that I've been making resin art, I've never done a perfect piece. So don't be expecting that. You're just gonna give yourself, and stress yourself out. That is super cool. I love it. I'm gonna take these gloves off very carefully so I don't spatter resin in my face. And let's see. So don't forget, you're gonna be gifting this art piece to someone. All you have to do to get your name in the hat to win this is sprinkle on your page, go to your page or do the share thing. I don't know if I can say that anymore or not. I don't know what Facebook likes or don't like anymore. All you have to do is sprinkle. Let your friends know that we're here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. They may enjoy watching us make some of these pretties. Come back here, let me know you did that, and we'll put your name in the hat. I'm gonna use my heat gun to pop any bubbles that we may have created, but this is kind of a moot point because the wood is porous and it's just gonna create more bubbles. All right, so it's kind of pointless to do that. All right, so now we have decisions to make, right? So we have yellow. Do you think we should do this? Yes, I think so too. So I'm gonna take a baby cup and I'm gonna open my yellow. It has never been opened, so it's gonna give me a fit. So let me open this. Thank you for the sprinkles. Let me know you sprinkled so we can put your name in the hat, and we're gonna draw a winner. I still have to draw a winner for the sunflower mirror, but we will do both of those tomorrow. And today was just one of those crazy days. So we'll be giving away the sunflower mirror and this tomorrow. And also, if you're in the Sunflower Challenge or if you're joining the Sunflower Challenge, don't forget that tomorrow at 7 p.m. we're doing a live inside the Sunflower Challenge just to answer any questions and talk about prep work and stuff like that. I did not put more resin on the big pieces because I resined them pretty heavy, Donna, so I'm not really too concerned about whether or not they're gonna stick. They're fine. All right, so yellow, I am gonna use that to kind of accent where I dotted on my far, far away tulips. So I'm just gonna grab a few up so I have a little bit of control, and if they get in the wrong place, I can move them with my little pick, so I'm not gonna worry too much about it. Just grabbing up 3 or 4 at a time. And I'm just gonna add, and I can move them where I want them to laid up. Just gonna add a few little pieces. All right, a little more over here. All right, so now, before we go any further, I'm gonna get my little pick. And we have some that have gone rogue. So we are going to push them over to where we want them. So I'm just gonna push. I'll separate some that are like all over each other. Those two are making out, I think. Push this one. This one doesn't need to be on the leaf. So just separate, kind of push them around where you want them. And we'll do the same thing over here. Just kind of separate any that are way too close together. You have any that are gone rogue and need to be pushed aside, then you can do that. All right, so that's all I'm gonna do with the yellow. So we just added a little bit more dimension to those far away tulips, all right? All right, so now down here where we have this green, I have 2 different colors of green, and I think I'm just gonna add a smidgy of both. This is, these are from Hobby Lobby. All of these beads come from Hobby Lobby, and these are Czech glass seed beads, and the color is transparent green and transparent light olivine. So it's a really, really pretty light green. So again, give me a second, I'm gonna put this, it really brought it to life, didn't it? I'm gonna put these yellow beads back up so I can use my same cup. And I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit of this lighter color. Thank you, guys. Just a few little nuggets of the light color. And I'm gonna sprinkle them into my glass, and I'm gonna sprinkle a few in the space between the yellow and the glass, just to give it a little more dimension. I'll put a little in there. And I'll show you this close up in just a second. They're so tiny that they're sometimes can be hard to see. So, but they really do make a great effect. So we'll dump those on. Now we'll get some of the transparent green, which is a darker green, but it's kind of iridescent. It's really pretty green. And can't get the top off. There we go. Just sprinkle a little bit of those in my cup. Just a little smidgy. And we'll do the same thing. I'm gonna just sprinkle some over the glass to give my glass a little extra pop, and then we'll come up into our stem area, adding, I'm gonna even come up into our yellow. Whoops, that was a little much, but I'm leaving it because I don't mind. And we have some that have gone rogue, and we'll fix those as well. All right, we have several that have gone rogue. So I'm just gonna take my little pick, and we'll push that little sucker over into the background, push those over. We'll bring that down a little. I don't really even mind that they're there, but all right, so let's take a peek at this. Oh my goodness, y'all. This really turned out so stinking cute. I'm gonna hold it up. I'm gonna show you the top. I'm gonna hold it still for a few minutes because my camera wants to like focus, wants to autofocus. So I'm gonna show you really slowly the top and the bottom. That really turned out so cute. Do you guys love it? Really super cute. Not bad for last minute, not sure what I'm gonna do. Let's sketch a tulip, right? You guys can thank my members for that because they were asking for tulips yesterday when we had our little live. So there we are, cute tulip. Now I'm gonna